I thought I would just close with a word of encouragement for our church, but also for those of you watching online on why it is we have these conferences. I believe the great danger in Christendom today is that there's so many sermons, and we can easily become taken up with wanting to hear just another sermon and like conferences, and for the church to just become preaching centers where people come and listen to a good pep talk, like a good life motivation speech, and go back unchanged. Our desire, our burden here in this local church and for you all as well is that the Lord would raise up a pure testimony in every place. That phrase has been running through my mind this weekend as I thought about us here who live in different communities, but also so many of you that watched online, especially in a time like this when with the pandemic and it's not easy to be in person, meet in person. Some of you are still not able to attend local church meetings. But God's desire is a testimony in every place, and that phrase is found in Malachi chapter 1, which is the last book of the Old Testament. And in a sense, I believe that some of the messages we've heard this weekend are a sort of a last call from God. And I'm not trying to be prophetic in terms of what's going to happen, but it's like this is going to be the last call. Will we stand for God? And this phrase in Malachi is the last message of the Old Testament, is here in Malachi 1 verse 11. Well, first of all, he says in verse 10, listen, you guys get together for your meetings, and I wish somebody would just shut the door so you couldn't go in and meet. That's how offended God was with their conferences and their meetings. Verse 10. Oh, that there were one among you who would shut the gates, that you might not uselessly kindle fire on my altar. I'm not pleased with you. I believe that's a danger, that God would say, I'm not pleased with the fact that you had this conference. And I'm not saying that that's the case, but we have to check our hearts to make sure that God doesn't say, you know what, Santosh, you just wasted your time. You sat there and you listened to it, but I wish you hadn't even come in the building. I wish you hadn't even logged in online. Why? And you can read the book of Malachi, because they held back. But from the rising of the sun even to its setting, my name will be great among the nations, verse 11, and in every place incense is going to be offered to my name, and a grain offering that is pure. A grain offering that is pure. And that's the burden of our heart. We more and more, I think, for those of you that have been here for any length of time, local church, and for those of you online, I'll share this. Our desire has been purified, not that God would add more people to this church, but that he would make us purer, that he would increase the level of the purity in the church. And that's something in our inner lives. This phrase is also found in 2 Corinthians chapter 2, in every place. That means that you don't all have to be here in Loveland. You don't all have to come and be a part of RLCF. You don't even really have to have a local church. Pray that God will do that. But wherever you are, you can raise up a pure testimony. It could be you alone if you're single. It could be just a couple if you're married. It could be you and your family if you don't have a local church. But it must begin and be preserved through that purity. Paul says in 2 Corinthians 2, verse 14, thanks be to God who always leads us in triumph in Christ and manifests through us the sweet aroma of the knowledge of him in every place. And this is our burden. Not that we'll be a church that teaches the right things. We do that, and we hope to continue to do that. But that each of us represents an every place where a pure offering is being raised up, where an aroma of Christ is coming up that's pleasing to him. And that's our burden for you as well. You know, we hear sometimes when people say, oh, I want to start a CFC church here, and I have this burden because I love the teaching. And that's the wrong way to go about it. Here's the right way to go about it. Lord, I want that my life will be a soothing aroma to you. I want that my marriage will be a soothing aroma to you. I want that my home, the way I interact with my children, will be a soothing aroma to you. And as you do that, as we do that, there will be other soothing aromas that will rise up nearby. And we're seeing the Lord do that. Bring us in touch with people in this community and others from afar who are drawn by the life of Christ in us, not in anything we have to offer. And I say this again with great appreciation for the teaching we received, but what it is that binds us together as a church family should not be the wonderful teaching we receive, but that we take that wonderful teaching and we say, Lord, you must make it a reality in my life, and I'm willing to give everything. I'm willing to do whatever it takes. It says that the fire fell on the altar. Read it in Leviticus 1, when every part of the offering was cut up and laid on the altar and the fire fell. That's my prayer as I sat here listening. My heart was burning within me. I hope it's burning within you as well. The church is built through individual sacrifices. That God's not looking for RLCF as a whole to be one sacrifice, no. But every single one of us, from the youngest to the oldest, who in secret takes up their cross and says, Lord, here it is, everything. You've challenged my heart afresh. I will follow you. God will build up churches in different parts of the world. That's why we have these conferences, friends, church family, is that each of us will see the value of Christ. And having decided to follow him, we won't turn back. Maybe we could stand and sing that chorus, I have decided to follow Jesus. This Jesus we've heard about. The Spirit of Christ manifest in these Old Testament men of God. Willing to stand alone. If you want to be a part, let's stand together, we can sing. If you want to be a part of a church, if you want to find a home for the lonely, you must first be willing to walk alone. That's what I've heard, especially this morning. Do you want to be integrated into God's body? He does have that plan for you. He wants to give you a family. He wants to give you, place you in his body. But you must first be willing to be alone. The saints of God must walk alone. And then he will build a church through that. And he will knit your heart together. If you're willing to go back and say, Lord, I'm willing to stand for you, even if it's only me, then God will build his church through you. He'll build his church through us. I have decided to follow Jesus. I have decided